Morning campers. Right, been a while since I did a DIY video, but now we've got back into routine and the traveling blues and everything have well and truly kicked in. I've come back to my first project, so we've gone and got ourselves another Berlingo, and this one's a good one. Yeah, not bad at all. It's the 1.6 petrol again. It's got lower miles than the last one. It's the nicer trim, so it's the one with, I love these roofs with all the skylights in. Really like that. Also means it's got all these built-in little cubby holes, which are perfect for a mini camper. Does mean it's going to be an absolute nightmare me trying to get any insulation in there. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work, I'll be honest. Yeah, looks like that could be a pain in the ass. When I did one of these before that had these skylights in, I purposely didn't bother putting any bubble foil insulation or anything in there. Now, the thing with bubble insulation is it's not going to give this a massive amount of insulation. Don't get me wrong, I've had people commenting before on my other video, oh, what good is that a little bit of bubble foil insulation going to do in there? But let's be honest, the catch with doing these camper vans is you're never going to make it perfect, but if everything that you do is better than not doing anything, right? The issue with something like this, with having no thermal barrier, is always going to be condensation forming on the cold skin on the inside of the van. So I figure putting some kind of thermal barrier in there is going to help minimize that. And if not, it should do. It definitely should do. I mean, of course, you've got all these windows which are going to need some kind of foil barrier over it. And the key with these as well is you can insulate a van to the high hell, but really the key is ventilation. So I think if you do what you can with some form of thermal layer, and then ensure that it's got good airflow, which could be as simple as just cracking the windows open while you're sleeping, you're going to help minimize that build-up of condensation. I'd quite like to do one of these that I keep hold of and run some kind of test, you know, have a look, open it back up in 6 months time and have a look. Let's see if there's been any mold or any rust formed anywhere, and that would kind of shut the doubters up once and for all, or prove me wrong. You know, one way or another, it'd be an interesting test to do. But since lots of people are doing these campers and not putting anything in them, I'm going to stick to my guns and I am going to insulate it as best as I can. So, like I say, it's got the different trim to the last one with the skylights and everything and all the cubby holes. It's also got nicer seats. The seats have got like a little table on the back of these seats. They've got armrests on. They're actually really comfy as well. It's the aircon model. Inside, it's just generally tidier than the last one. We paid, I think, £900 for it. It's only got 3 months test on it, but there's nothing alarming looking round it. It's got a full service history. But I've got to have a good look through that because I've not as yet seen any record of a cam belt. So I think the cam belt's going to be the first job on it, even though it's not actually yet at the mileage where that's due. Or is it? I can't remember now. I'll have to turn the key in. But yeah, the cam belt will be one of the first mechanical jobs. But before we get to that, of course, there was a reason why it was cheap. And I discovered that reason after we'd picked it up, or after my partner had picked it up, when the weather was dry. Later on that evening, we went out for a meal and discovered that the roof leaks. And that's when we discovered that the only rust on the van is here on the front of this section here that's got those very skylights in that I was banging on about. So that's the order of today, is to get this fixed and this seal repaired to stop the water ingress and stop any water getting in. Once we've done that, we'll get the carpets stripped out, get them dried out, and have a damn good look at the floor and make sure that there's nothing on the floor from where water may have been gathering. So, fun and games. Not sure why it's gone here originally. I'm not sure whether maybe this rubber seal has got pulled up at some point and then water's just been able to gather under there. But my plan is to pull this trim up, hit this with a flat disc, get it ground back to bare metal, put some timber in here to pack it so I'm not filling the groove in that the rubber seal goes in, filling it up with Bondo, flapping it back, and then we're going to have to spray the centre section of the roof, which I don't know yet. Spray or wrap it, one of the two. I think if I do spray it though, I'm probably going to spray it black to match this centre bit rather than trying to match metallic, because metallic is a pain in the ass to spray, especially when I can't drive the car into a spray booth. So that really is the only major thing to fix. As with the outside, everything's nice and straight. There's no bubbling arches, unlike the other one. Wing mirrors are all intact. Handles are all intact. Yeah, the only thing on the back that's missing is this little handle here. So we'll have to find one of them from the breakers and spray it to suit. But it's pretty straight on the outside. So let's see. I'm not in a rush to turn this round. Whereas last time I really wanted a challenge of turning it round in a week. This time, whilst I do only want a week's worth of labour on it, I've got a lot of other things on as well. So those 7 days will be spread out rather than blasting them out like I did last time. But should be a fun one to do. I've yet to decide on a layout as well. The last layout was really popular and that one did sell in 24 hours. But I kind of want to do something different. Lots of people commented about liking the idea of having 4 working seat belts in the back. So that makes me think about either putting a boot jump and leaving the seats in, or putting a metal rock and roll bed in. We'll get the outside jobs and the cam belt done and everything first while I make a decision and decide what we're doing with that. Right, as you can see here, here's the damage. I've ground out all the rust. I've now treated it with Crust. So the plan here is to slot a piece of 6mm here into this groove so that I don't fill into the groove. Then I'm going to fill up to this in all these 3 locations and obviously sand it flat. I'm then going to fill this gully full of CT1 and then push the bead back in and stand a load of weight on it. And well, I'm hoping that should have done the job. I didn't get any footage of it leaking before. Which I'm regretting, but I now don't want to pour any water on it to show you because I don't want it getting too wet and that affecting the sealant drying. But I'm certain this is where it's leaked. This centre piece that this model that has the skylights in, is obviously made so that they can swap this out and just have one without this piece if it's not that model. And it is like bonded inside here, and where this has rusted, I think it's just been seeping in past the bonding, and hence the leak. So let's get this on, because it's looking a bit grey now actually, so I'm going to get this filler on quickly so it gets dry and I can get this sealant in as quick as possible. Bit of an update. After yesterday's efforts, we've got all the rust sanded off, sanded back as bare as I possibly could. In the odd tiny little place there was still a little remaining bit of rust, which I then treated with Rust before filling it and smoothing it. I then had a bit of a change of plan, because this seal that I'd taken out, that I was intending to push back to seal in with CT1, is actually all twisted and warped, and I could tell that there was no way I was going to get that to sit in there nicely, and it was actually going to complicate me sealing it. So I decided to bin that entirely, cleaned out with alcohol wipes all the inside of this gully, and then I've just sealed this in with black frame sealant, making sure I squished it fully in. So I've gone all the way round that. And that goes all the way round. So as long as that was the only source of the leak, and that it wasn't actually leaking from the sunroofs as well, that should be fixed. So we'll give it a test now. And we're going to do this whilst holding the camera. I'll have to open it. So I'm going to well and truly soak it because when it rained the other night, it quickly came dripping in above the sun visors. So we'll thoroughly soak. There's no way it rained more than that. Now, yeah, I'm quietly confident that that has solved the problem. So it wasn't anything to do with the sunroofs then. It was literally, which makes sense, it was that rusted spot. Even though it didn't look to me like I could see any visible holes, this centre section that's got these roof lights in is actually fiberglass. And oddly enough, looking at the cut when I took the seal out, it's not perfectly smooth. So it looks like that gets cut by hand in the factories when they make these models. So they must make the shells all with a solid roof. And then the ones that they have planned to put this section in, someone goes around with a cutter and cuts it out, because some of these cuts were wobbly, which if it was machine cut, that wouldn't have happened. So they're obviously done with a trimmer by hand. And then they must be pushed in from the inside and bonded. So where that's rusted, it's just created a bit of a leak. But yeah, that now no longer leaks. So took a few hours to sort that. And I'm pretty confident that that is the reason that this was cheap. The guy that's sold it to us is a bit crafty, actually, because he never mentioned anything about that. And there is no way that he didn't know. But we've got that problem solved. So now we just need to spray that, blend that in. And that's the exterior problem sorted. Where are you going, love? This is my granddaughter here. She's come over to stop with Grandad while her dad's working for me in the workshop. What are you doing? Come say hello, Ivy. Say hello. Isn't she beautiful? It's a good job Grandad's got a soft spot for Akitas. So that's that sorted out. So I'm not going to spray it today now because it's got wet. I need it to thoroughly dry out. Let's wait for that to thoroughly dry. I'm going to get the pressure washer on it at some point as well, just to confirm that everything is fully sealed. But I'm confident that's that problem solved. And from here on out, the rest is just straightforward. Cam belt first, and then make a decision on how we're going to fit it out. Howdy campers. So, as you may have gathered by now, I'm doing a lot more of the conversions and I've got a lot of projects on the go. I'm always doing projects and stuff anyway, but now I'm ramping it up a bit to tide me over during the quieter periods. When tattooing quietens down, I've got a bit more picky with tattooing nowadays. I only really tattoo the subject and the style that I like doing, which means in the winter it gets a bit quieter. And for the next couple of years at least, we won't be doing any big 3-month trips into Europe for winter while Atlanta gets through college. So that gives me a bit of time to do something else. So I've decided to do a lot more with the conversion side of things. Hence, if you've seen the Wild Adventure Campers logo popping about here and there, that is the name, the brand that I'm about to start building. So in line with that, I've had to rent some premises, which is bizarre because everything we've got going on has always just been tied to our business premises. But as Jen's business has grown and expanded now, and a big element of her business is taking in second-hand furniture and requires a lot of storage, which meant I've slowly got but surely been pushed out of my workshop space, and then I've turned half of my home workshop into a gym as well. So I really don't have the space to do this. And now it's getting to winter, it's not so easy for me to do these vehicles out in the garden, in the yard anymore. So here we are. This is my new premises. Now, oddly enough, my partner rented this for a period of time after I left the furniture business, and there's still loads of her crap in here. So first order of the day for me is to get a bunch of this cleared out. I'm going to be doing a lot of YouTubing of all my projects in here. So the first thing I want to do is to get it set up so it looks nice for that. So I'm stripping it out, clearing it out, painting the floor, refreshing the walls, sorting out some nice lighting. And then as you can see, it's actually big enough for me to easily fit 2 vehicles in here. So I'm going to move the benches down to the back end. I'm going to build some kind of lean-to out the side because I've got a bit of land at the side I can use as well. But yeah, I've got enough space to work on vehicles in here in the dry and film myself doing it as well. So I've got my hands full, but I've got a bit of time at the moment, so best get cracking, get this skip filled up.